Thank you very much for joining the session and giving us some times. It's super. It's a pleasure to have you. Things that's probably the audience need to know is that we worked together previously. I mean, I worked into your company previously a few years ago. I think it was in 2012. I started in 2012. So.
Right. Long story, yeah.
And yeah, I have to say that even nowadays, it's probably the best experience I had so far in my professional life. Uh, just saying that it's important.
Been a pleasure to work with you on those days.
Oh, that's mean a lot. Thank you. Um, so I started some research because I had the impression I knew you before, but then I started to read some stuff about you, about your life, about what you did before Stupeflix. So and I started to understand how you came to create that company. Um, I have to probably introduce one thing in the discussion right now is that despite being quite discreet to the folks out there, Stupeflix was probably the first acquisition in France, like big acquisition in France for the startup industry here, because the company has been acquired by GoPro in 2016, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Which at that time was, I mean, it was not so common for French companies to be acquired by big US corpo groups, like if I can say. And also one other thing is we were doing at that time a video creation tool on the iPhone. And I think that there were not a lot of company working on mobile.
Yeah, yeah. Startups were, we created the company in 2008. So at the time it was, in France, the number of startups was very low. And it's true that in mobile and on the video editing and quite technical stuff actually. App was quite there were a lot of moving parts in there. You're right. There were not that much companies in not many companies in France. Yeah, at the time. So and as you mentioned, maybe there were a few companies that were acquired yeah, at the time, but only a few ones like that. So yeah, the acquisition was quite unusual in the French ecosystem.
Yeah. So it was kind of big, but every time I talk about Stupeflix to people, a lot of people they never heard about the company and the app, despite it being super powerful, like on the industry. I'm just saying that because like it's a huge success. Even for French economy, it was a huge milestone. It opens an era of entrepreneur after Stupeflix, because there is a lot of people who even came at me and talked to me about the Stupeflix mafia here that has been created. Uh, like there is a company called Hugging Face, like a lot of people know about Hugging Face. It's like AI GitHub kind of. It's $1 billion company, like valuation. It's valuated at more than a few billions. These folks were from Stupeflix, like Julien Chaumont, the CTO.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a bit less than 1 year at Stupeflix. Yeah,
Stupeflix in the end of the adventure, but there were also Photoroom, which is another big AI companies that has been funded by
sure.
Mathieu Rouy, which is another Stupeflix. I'm sitting in the desk of Mojo, which is another Stupeflix company. So before we talk about, so just to picture that Stupeflix was super powerful on the economy, and then you've done a lot with that company. I've read on somewhere on the internet that you weren't really supposed to build companies at first. It wasn't your plan, like when you started working.
Yeah, that's true. for my parents, actually, they, they thought that I would be a teacher at some time. Actually, I had no plan. There were no history of creating companies in my family and that kind of thing. But I had the chance to join a startup even way back in 1999. So a long time ago. It was even more rare. It was a company called Exalid, and it was created by François Bourdoncle and Patrice Bertin. It was a kind of French Google at the time. So it was, I was very lucky to be part of this. Actually, I was, the first employee of the company. It was a laboratory because being a company, and I was a PhD student at the time. And so, without even knowing anything about startups, was sucked in in a startup in France, something that was completely unknown of at the time. So well, I stayed something like 8 years. We, there are a lot of very talented people that were from Exalid at the time. The Algolia team was from Exalid. Dataiku, Florian Duetto was from Exalid. So actually, before the Stupeflix mafia, where was the Exalid mafia? And yeah, it created a lot of very impressive company. Way more than Stupeflix, actually. But I think it gave the taste of startup and creating companies for a lot of people that were not bound to create companies at the time. And the second thing is Nicolas Stigman, who was Exalid employee too, actually convinced me to create a company. It took some time to find a good idea, but in 2007, 2008, he convinced me to create something, and that's how we started. So you're right. I was not bound to create companies because it was not something that I was thinking about at any time. But yeah, in the end, it will end. I think it's the best adventure where someone can experience in his life. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you were a student at Polytechnique, right? Doing your PhD there, and then someone from
Actually,
Polytechnique.
before it was actually one of my teacher at Polytechnique. We created Exalid actually. François Bourdoncle
Okay.
and Patrice Bertin were both teachers at Polytechnique.
So
It
you
was a
got
good way to find students.
nice, nice. So they hired you there. You stayed 8 years at Exalid,
Yeah, so maybe even 9 years, something like that. Yeah.
participating into the early days of that French Google at that time. Despite it, I mean, Exalid were, we can say that it didn't have the success of Google in terms of public facing, but it was still a super advanced technology there that we're building.
Yeah, actually, I think our main thing was to try to do too many things at the same time, but the technology was very impressive. The engineers and the research there was really top notch. And at the time, yeah, it was not clear. We were competing with Google. We started almost at the same time. They were from Alta Vista, for those who knows the name. They were very aware of all the technology behind search engine. But of course, it's always difficult for a company, a French company to compete with American one because of the size of the market and that kind of thing, and language, because of course, everything was about language processing. When you have only 60 million French speaker and you have maybe 400 million people speak English, it's a bit different. So yeah, actually, if I could draw a parallel, it's a bit like Dailymotion. Dailymotion was created actually before YouTube, a few months before. It was actually I was for 1 year at Dailymotion. between 2007 and 2008. So yeah, same thing. It could have been the French YouTube. Fortunately, some reasons it didn't, but it was still very, very impressive.
Yeah.
I remember my time at Dailymotion. It was very impressive company, very good, very talented people, moving fast.
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny because like you've joined Exalit, which was competing with Google at the early days, and then you joined Dailymotion after that, which was also competing with YouTube at some point.
Yeah.
So like Google is your uh, the big boss to tackle. Funny. So you did Exalit. You were instructed by your teacher at that time. You spent almost a decade there, and then you started. You were also attracted by someone at Dailymotion at the very beginnings, or
Actually, yeah, after Exalid, I wanted to learn something different. Exalid was creating a lot of very impressive technology, but it was reinventing a lot of things. They are their own programming language, for example. So it was, at the same time, it was very interesting, but it was something, yeah, it was a kind of microcosm. And so I wanted to see something else. And so Dailymotion was very open. We were using PHP at the time. It was something state of the art. And yeah, in terms of network, database, traffic, it was the biggest site in France. So it was very, very interesting
yeah.
to be part of Dailymotion at the time.
Okay. And then Nicolas, your co-founder, just came in and said, François, let's build something on our own. Let's make our company.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
was Stupeflix at that time? Like, did you had any idea of what to build, or was it just like, okay, let's just jump into something and we will figure it out later?
Actually, we had a few ideas. We were taking coffees with a few people once a week in a coffee shop near the office, and we had some ideas, good, bad. And at some point, we wanted to create a e-tourism website. Even at the time, it was not that original, but yeah, why not? So we started to have Google Maps. We added some key points on it, but it was a bit bland. It was not that interesting. So at some point I said that we should put videos on the map. And so I started to look after solutions to create those videos, but there were no solution at the time. So I started to do very crappy scripting to take some Wikipedia images, put them in Image Magic and that kind of thing, and create videos with automatically from Wikipedia articles. And yeah, this script runs something like 2-3 days and created 30,000 videos, something like that. And they were
30,000.
yeah, very crappy videos, but a lot of them and geolocalized, so we could put them on the map. And at the time, we were pitching, yeah, and people about the idea, and they were not that interested in the e-tourism website. But when they saw the videos, where these videos are from, how did you create them? And so we throw away the idea to create a website, e-tourism website, and we just kept the idea to create those videos. And that's how Stupeflix was founded. Just an API to let people create videos from their own photos on the text so yeah, we are providing an API, for example, for real estate websites to turn their real estate announced into videos automatically. So it was meant from web developers that didn't know anything about video but wanted to create some. And yeah, that's how it started. So have an idea, throw it, just keep a sub idea, and that's it.
Which is funny is that you were trying to sell a touristy app online, and then it's the tech you created for making up these videos that got attention from some people. But we need to picture that what was it in 2008, right? The
Yeah,
genesis of
2008. Yeah, yeah.
so 2008, at that time, what was the state of the technology? Was like there were no iPhone whatsoever. So like, the iPhone wasn't even a thing.
Uh,
I think
yeah,
it was
there is iPhone 3, I think. So the very first iPhone or second iPhone, but yeah, mobile phone was not a thing. Yeah.
so no 3G somewhere on the internet. Like it was only like what we call in France a DSL, which was like a cable kind of connection. Um, so video, I'm saying that because we need to picture that at that time, the web was not very media thing. It was like most of the web was a text and probably some images at that time. Like,
Uh, YouTube and Dailymotion were 2 years old, something like that. So yeah, video was very nascent. Everybody was talking about video. Basically, it was the next big thing, but it was just beginning. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Um, so having the ability to create like 30,000 videos like automatically from articles, like it sounds crazy. Like
yeah, actually, it was maybe too early. Yeah, it's a risk you take. If you have a good idea, but if it's too early, it's actually a bad idea.
mm,
We were lucky because it was still a good idea, but it took some time to grow the business. And even now, I don't think there is such an API today, uh, and it should. And even now, so yeah, you could create this company, and it would be yeah, it could be a good idea
nice.
because the need is still there, and there is not a lot of solutions to create that kind of thing. There are a lot of mobile apps to create that, but if you are a developer and want to create videos by the thousands, you have no solution right now.
Interesting. Giving ideas. So you started that, then you get noticed by a customer who say like, literally, we don't give a shit about your touristy stuff, but the videos are quite impressive. I want the same. And then you decided to pivot the company from that touristy things to just leveraging that technology you just created, videos. I joined the company, I think it was in the end of 2011. And you created the company around 2008, something. And I remember that the Stupeflix had the first live somehow. It was a web live. You started by creating, so based on that technology, you created an editor online.
Yeah, it was
Um,
Etienne Albert that created the user-facing edition interface. Yeah.
so instead of taking all these Wikipedia pages, you were able to upload actually your medias online, and then make that videos and then share it somewhere.
Yeah, web-based video editor, some kind.
And also, I remember that at that time when you were going to youtube.com/create, it was ending into the Stupeflix editor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had a few partnership with YouTube and Dailymotion, if I remember correctly. So yeah, because there were only a few solutions to maybe we were the only one to create a video directly on the website. Yeah,
But still, you needed to upload the videos. Like it was done on a server backend somewhere,
yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
then download back the video. So it was pretty long. Like the technology was quite.
Yeah, the technology was interesting because you didn't have to install an app, but still you had to upload your content. Usually it was pictures at the time, so it was not that long. But if you wanted to upload videos to assemble video together, of course, it would be longer. Actually, we started with a B2B API that was targeted at real estate, for example, or advertisement campaign, personalized videos. So we had at some point we had something like 3 campaigns running at the same time for the Super Bowl, and we didn't know about it. So we discovered that there was a peak on our servers on the Super Bowl because people were using the API and they didn't want us in advance. So our servers were exploding. So basically, they were shooting a very high quality video. They were selecting a few places in the video where you could put your own picture or your own text and that kind of thing. And I remember, for example, Bacardi they shot video in Cuba in a bar. So there were pictures in the wall. So you could put your pictures on your friends on the wall on the very fancy bar, that kind of thing. And it was very successful for the campaign, for the advertisement campaign at the time. And yeah, this I still remember this Super Bowl night. We didn't sleep a lot because we were trying to add servers
It's like
and
millions
yeah,
of people who tried the technology at that time.
yeah.
Crazy. And then
And so we started with this API, and yeah, we created a more B2C app for people to create videos.
that is crazy. I didn't know that. And then you decided to take a turn on 2011 or 12, roughly around
Yeah, 12,
these
maybe
days.
12. Yeah.
I think it was for the iPhone 3G at that time when it has been released. Then
It was a bit, maybe 4. I would say 4, but yeah,
oh,
yeah,
iPhone
4S,
5.
something like that. Yeah,
For S, yeah, yeah. So it was the time where there were a shift occurring on the media market, if I can tell it that way. Originally, in 2010, when you wanted to take good pictures, like quality pictures or shots or everything, you needed to have a camera or something dedicated for that. And then the quality of the phones and everything kind of started to pick up with
pick
what
up. Yeah,
cameras were able to do at that time. So it started by, that's one thing I remember when we were discussing at that time, is that at that time you kind of felt that people were starting to replace their camera by their phone,
yeah, the
basically.
phone. Yeah,
And so the good thing is that, unlike cameras, phone have that abilities to use the medias and share it directly, like to website, to content, to stuff.
exactly. And so yeah, and so yeah, actually the story is that we were working on the second version of our technology because the first one we developed it in only a few months, 3 months, something like that. And we wanted to have something more and with better performance. For the story, we are using OpenGL on GPUs. In 2008, we had our own servers with GPUs that were so at the time we had to build our own servers. So actually it was one of the thing we we bet the companion that GPUs would be a big thing. We were a bit early, but yeah. And the GPUs in the phone at the same time were getting more and more powerful. So we developed the second version of the technology for the servers, but we realized that it was running quite well on the phone at the time. And of course, we were seeing each generation of phone to growing in performance. So we started to wonder what if we could put the technology on a phone? And actually, our first tests were quite convincing, especially because you do everything on the phone, um, opposed to our competition that were doing video editing on the phone, but the real video editing was done on the cloud. So it changed everything to be able to do everything on the phone because it was very snappy. You could almost play with your video, creating your edit. So that's why we went to a B2B company, to a mobile company. In 2012, we started the development, and I think the app was released on December 2013, something like that. And at- it started to be quite a wild ride. you were there at the time.
I remember.
It was something.
Yeah, it was definitely something. So the good thing is that the replay, that's the name of the app,
Uh,
was shortening that bandwidth part because you were having the media directly on the phone and the technology was running locally on the phone, meaning that
yeah.
if you travel, then you can use the app without having to upload the media somewhere. At that time, it was 3G. So even if it was still super fast, like uploading videos or photos that were qualitatively improving. So it means also that the size of the media were bigger and bigger on the phone. Like being able to shortcut the bandwidth usage and doing the montage directly on the phone, on the device, made it super fast to iterate and say, okay, this is the first version of your montage. Oh no, I don't like it. Let's do another one. So just one tap, and then we were able to reproduce a new version of the video right away without the user having to wait for anything. I just wanted to like I know what is a GPU and a CPU, but maybe it could be interesting to explain to the audience what's the difference between those and why at that time and why now it's like a big thing. Like everybody is talking about GPU right now. Can you you're way more technical than I am. So
Yeah, just in a few words, actually, the CPU is a classical part of a computer. It exists since the very beginning of computers. And GPU, the G is for graphics. It's a graphics processing unit. And when it appeared, it was meant to accelerate graphic operations. So basically drawing geometric shapes on your screen. And each year it became more and more powerful. And the main difference between a GPU and a CPU is the parallel part, because when you are doing graphics, a lot of things can be done at the same time, whereas the CPU can do mostly one thing at a time. And so the raw compute power in a GPU is just huge. And today, for example, GPUs are used for machine learning and AI because AI require a lot of computation and a lot of those computation are parallel. So back in 2008, it was, and a bit before, a lot of people were trying to use it to create graphics because it was the main usage, but a lot of people were starting to use it to do something else, for example, simulation, machine learning, and that kind of thing. And the same thing occurred on mobile. At first, they were only CPUs, but after a short time, there were GPUs too. And it's the part that make possible to have great games, for example, on mobile. And nowadays, there are even specialized units that are used for neural processing for especially on iOS. On iPhone, you have these parallel units that are used to compute graphics and compute all things about AI. Uh, um, so
but
that's the difference between.
in 2011 or 2012, we didn't talk about any AI or that times.
Yeah. Actually, only a few people were talking about it, and nobody was talking about it on mobile because we are still processing the thing. But actually, yeah, I mentioned a lot of things about technology, but I think a large part of the success of the app was the product design. And so the technology was important, but the way the app was done, so we are very talented iOS developers, just like you. But we have too some art and graphic designer that were very, very good. And we worked a lot about the experience of the user, and especially to make sure that the user could create very quickly his video without thinking about all the details. So automation was something we introduced very early in the app with time and with the more power available on the mobile. We started to do a bit of AI to identify people in pictures, so we could crop the picture in the right way to find the horizon on a picture, so we could special effects and that kind of thing. So automation and yeah, making sure the interface was very simple, very intuitive was, of course, very important in the success of the app.
Yeah, because that's one thing we were discussing before going into that CPU and GPU thing, is that by shorten the bandwidth, we were shortening the time to create the videos, and we kind of introduced the automagic phase, like, because you were able to do it on the phone directly, then it means that you are also, I mean, it was a good opportunity to take decision in terms of designs and like yeah, decision automatically. I remember about ducking the music with videos clips, where you were able to listen to people talking in a video, but still have the music that lowers automatically, and then having like synchronizing the shots on the music
The
directly.
music,
So it was a good opportunity for like the app to do a lot of things by itself, and it was pretty unique. Like there were no other app doing the same thing at that time, which eventually led Stupeflix to be discovered by Apple somehow.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a big turning point in terms of visibility. We were featured in a keynote by Apple, but even before that, we were championed internally by some people at Apple, and so we were featured a lot in the App Store. Of course, the number of downloads grew quite quickly after that. And yeah, the peak point was the keynote, where I think this day we had something like 140,000 downloads this single day. So it was quite a thing.
140,000. That's crazy. And then at that time, Apple had that thing with something called App Gratis in France. I don't think they were the only one, but the store worked like that. Like you were pushing an app on the App Store, and then the more the app gets downloaded, the higher the rank is. And then you had a section on the App Store where there were no editorial sections. So there were no articles on apps to download, nothing like that. It was a ranking. And when you were going into that ranking, you were seeing all the best, the most downloaded app in your country. And some smart people, they took advantage of that, and they were proposing to developer to do daily deals. Like they put their app for free for one day, and then it generated. So they were doing a newsletter things and stuff on their side. It was pushing their app to the ranking. So they got visibility into that highest ranking. And I think it's probably the reason why Apple decided, so they decided to ban that app that was called App Gratis. And then after that, they realized that they probably were the best spot to showcase, like put some lights and great content on the App Store. So instead of having that ranking that doesn't exist anymore, pretty much, they created that featuring sections where you were able to retrieve like articles on best content, best app. So it was a way for the user to discover what's the best app I can download in my new phone, basically. And I think it coincides, like it fits with the moment where Apple kind of created that new section on the App Store and started to feature apps internally. And we at Stupeflix with Replay got probably one of the earliest featuring posts on the App Store. So instead of having that ranking, you were able to see articles on the app, which is way more
Yeah,
complete, like way more much more content regarding you as
Of
a
course, yeah.
developer, like who you are, etc. So people downloaded Replay a lot, and it was a huge success. Like, how many downloads in total did you get with Replay?
Don't remember the exact name, the exact number, but it was maybe it was a few millions at least. I don't. Yeah, when the GoPro acquisition occurred, I don't remember exactly the number of download, but maybe 10 millions or something like that. Uh, and something I would add is that at the time subscriptions did not exist. We had to make money, but with one-time payment. The economical model of the app was free, and if you wanted to unlock every template and that kind of thing, because we have a lot of video templates, you had to pay one time, $10, something like that. And we were, yeah, it was. We were not completely profitable at all times, but we were one of the uh, quite quite well-positioned company in that topic, even without subscription.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course,
true.
we would have dreamed to have subscription like today.
Yeah, it's true that subscription weren't a thing at that time. And then one day, I mean, I'm not sure you're able to talk about that. Like, it's the thing I don't want to. I mean, we need to talk about that, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure what's the secrecy that Apple imposes you onto that story right now. But I think that one day you received an email from Apple saying, "Okay, we're preparing the keynote, and we're like, what we're selecting apps to go on stage."
Yes, we are for the preparation of a keynote 2014. Actually, yeah, we received an invitation to be part of the keynote. So of course we were just, all the office was just crazy that day. But actually we are a bit naive because we should have known that we were not the only one that were invited. Actually, I don't know how many companies were invited, but it was kind of competition actually. And it lasted something like 1 month
Yeah.
in Cupertino.
So
So,
they invited
sorry,
you. They invited you.
we
Like,
are
you should come. You
yeah,
saw like
we have
maybe, oh, that's great. We're gonna be on the keynote, and then you
not.
discovered that you were in a
Yeah,
competition.
but we discovered it not at once because we were, so we went to, we were two people, Jean-Patry and me, that at first that went to Cupertino, and we started to showcase what we were doing and that kind of thing. And we understood in the following days that, yeah, there were other people like us. It was not obvious at the time because each team was in his own small office, so it was quite funny to
So that
see
you
that
got in a
actually it was not that we were not sure anymore to be part of the keynote,
so
and
that you go
especially
to
we were
lunch. So is that
sorry.
you go to lunch and then you discuss with people and they ask you what are you doing here? I'm preparing for the keynote, and then, oh, we are preparing too for the keynote, right? Like, you discover that way.
No, actually, we did not meet anyone.
Wow.
No, actually, they made sure that we would not
Talk
cross
to
the
them.
path of other teams. So the Chris at Apple is famous, and actually, yeah, we were quite isolated for 1 month. We were working on a new device. The new device was very hidden too, so we knew only the name, and I even don't know if we knew the name of the new device. So so we had to figure out ourselves what was happening, and we realized we were doing well because we were still here. Because at some point, actually, we were with another guy in the same office. it was not, we were not in competition because he was doing games and we were doing video editing. So we were not competing. Actually, we were inferring it, but we were not sure, but yeah. And at some point he disappeared. And also we realized that we are still here. So
Yeah.
far, so good.
Oh, so far so
And
good.
yeah, yes, it was quite an experience. It quite was funny. Uh, maybe not funny at every time because because yeah, it was a bit strange at some point, but yeah. And yeah, the
Why
fun
did you
part
stick
was
with it?
at first we were interviewing with some people from the teams, and each time we were pitching somebody else up in the hierarchy. So I think we counted the number. I think we did something like 10 pitch. I think so. We realized there were at least 10 levels of hierarchy in Apple, and we finished
Yeah.
with Tim Cook.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
So when
Tim Cook was on stage, but before that, I think it was Phil Schiller, something like that.
we
So
just
yeah,
enter the
we
hostage.
started with the top exec. We ended with the top exec. The last pitch was really with the top exec. But even at that point, they told us, we are not sure you are going to do the keynote. You are the only two teams remaining, but if something happens, we don't have the time or anything, you won't be part of the keynote. So it was 1 month, but even at the very last moment, we were not sure that we would be part of the keynote. Quite funny.
I- And then you went there because I remember there is another part of that story. It's like you
Yeah,
went there, so I guess that stress is at its maximum. Like you're in a backstage waiting for someone to bring you on the stage, right?
yeah.
Um, and then suddenly we were following you live from France, like looking at the keynote, and then suddenly they announce, I remember that part where someone goes on stage and say, there's a team of French engineers and then they're making a video app. We were all like, woo, it's us, it's us, it's us. And then we see you on stage at that time and know what happens. Can you tell the story?
What happened? I don't remember. No, actually, yeah. Of course, it's Apple, so it's a very professional production, and so everything is must be just perfect. And so we were two people with Jeff Boudier, who is almost a native speaker, who was presenting the app, and I was in front of the iPad and selecting things in the app and so creating the video while he's talking. And for production purposes, we had some makeup on the end, and we were the second company to be there. So actually, the first guy who used the iPad, there was quite some amount of makeup on the iPad. And at some point, I had to type text to add to the video, and the text was Utah road trip because it was a very nice picture of people doing a road trip in the Arches, I think, national park. So very beautiful. And I typed this, and I don't remember exactly what typo I did. Maybe I removed the
It's
H
okay.
of Utah or something like that.
Yeah.
And the autocorrect changed it to its road trip. And its road trip does not mean anything really, but it's the text that appeared. And as the app was very, very fast, only 2 seconds after that, in full screen in front of everybody and in front of the internet. It's road trip in large with very nice effects, light effects on the text. And the fun fact is that a few seconds later, a second time the text removed because of the automation on the first text. It was a nightmare. So yeah, some people shot an animated GIF on my head as I did something like that, and I had my fake Twitter account. It was It was a
It
mess.
was you became a meme at that time. So the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
day you were pitching, like demoing on stage during an official Apple event, and then officially becoming a meme online,
yeah.
which is
That's
pretty
why
cool.
I will be remembered for the typo I did. And yeah, one fun fact is one of my first paper I wrote was about spell checking. So it's a revenge of the spell checker.
Oh, funny. So you became the public face of that mistyping, like the typo, like everything that iPhone is doing, when you're typing fast and then it
Yeah.
autocorrect the wrong thing. And first, the funny thing is that Apple, I mean, if you look at the video, the official video, you won't see that part now because Apple
Yeah.
removed it.
Yeah, but because everything has to be perfect in the Apple Keynote, we took a few minutes after the show to reshoot this
The
part.
video. So and then they made it like the official version, like they replaced the
Perfect.
live by the fixed part, which is fun.
Nothing never happened. I don't know what we are talking about.
Like talking about that, is there any secrecy that you still hold from that period? Like, does Apple implies like secrecy on that?
I don't think so. It was quite some time ago. And
More than 10 years. Was more than
actually,
10.
this doesn't exist anymore because the keynote right now are almost every time shot in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a fun fact is that without this typo, maybe we would not have so many downloads in the time because it was quite a buzz actually. So it was a bad thing, but it was a good thing too because so many people were laughing of it. Yeah, it was quite a buzz. I think I was featured on La Vie du Code or something like that in France.
What is
Uh,
developer
yeah.
man? Oh, that's funny. And then we could have buy like Stupeflix, but it never happened. Like, why is that GoPro got interested into replay and Apple did not?
Actually, yeah, of course, it made it very visible, and Apple knew us quite well. Actually, we were doing very advanced stuff with iPhone, so some part of the technology stack of the iPhone, we were digging it very deeply, and we had some bug reports, for example, that were quite unthinkable for us. For them, how did you find this? For example, there were some very obscure things about the gyroscope in the iPhone because we were using it to stabilize videos. So we had a very strong link with Apple at the time, and so, of course. There were some discussion at some point, but there were other companies like Adobe, for example. Adobe was very interesting uh, just because, yeah, something I didn't mention that we were able to run in some way Adobe um, Adobe software on the iPhone, actually. And at the time, it was something that was unthinkable. We were using the Adobe suite to create video templates, and we had a kind of compiler that was done by one of our employee, it was Sebastian at the time, I worked with him, and so we were able to extract templates from Adobe software and to use them on the iPhone and render them on the iPhone. At the time, it was just crazy. So Adobe was quite interesting in what we were doing, and of course GoPro. When all these people approached us, we were not that interested in an acquisition because we are quite busy to creating the new version of our app, and so a lot of people went to see us, but we didn't make the first move actually.
And then GoPro. How
And
how
when
did it came? Like how did
actually GoPro went to see us a few months after the keynote, and we had just a first contact, and we forgot about it. And they went back a few months later, maybe 6 months later, and it became more serious. But at the time, it was quite, we are quite excited about it because yeah, actually at the time we were raising some money because
oh,
we had grown the company quite. We have something like 35, and the revenue of the app was not exactly enough to cover this. So we were in the process of raising some money. And at this time, GoPro contacted us for to have a chat, and it was true that there were so excited, very loud and great excitement because they were doing very advanced camera with a lot of sensors. We knew a lot of things that could be done with these sensors to stabilize, to understand the video, and the quality of the video was so it made a lot of sense to be part of hardware company and to provide the software part, because a lot of people were thinking about the software revenues and that kind of thing that would complement nicely hardware company.
yeah.
So we talked with GoPro, and it went very quickly and very smoothly, and that ended in an acquisition in 2016.
One of the biggest at that time for French startups, as you said.
It was quite a thing. Yeah.
Um, and then what happened? Like what did you? What was your mindset when you sold the company to GoPro? Like what was the next? Right.
We are quite excited because there were a lot of things to be done by using all the data that was available in the GoPro video. Of course, there was some stuff to integrate with, for example, to be able to download directly videos and that kind of thing. We rebranded the app into Quick, which still exists today. So if you want to test replay, it's actually the Quick app, the GoPro Quick app. Um, and yeah, we were quite busy, integrating it with the GoPro ecosystem. Unfortunately, acquisition don't go well every time, and it was quite difficult to work with the software team that was in the West Coast, and we we lost quite quickly the freedom of to do what we were good at, and it was not the end we thought it would occur. Yeah.
And now, what are you up to? Because it's been like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been some time.
So
Time
what are
fly.
you doing right now? What is your
Um,
main focus?
After that, actually, I was, I took 1 year off to take a deep breath, and after that, um, I started to think about what I wanted to do. In 2018, I started to work on education, but it was a bit early. I was hesitating between education and AI, so educating people or educating machines in some way. So I worked from 1 year as an independent researcher. I joined Hugging Face for a bit more than 1 year. It was quite funny because Julien Chaumont worked for a few months at Stupeflix, and I worked at Hugging Face after that. And it was a nice experience to be able to go back to very deep technology and doing stuff with GPUs. And after that, uh, COVID occurred, and the landscape of education and that kind of thing changed a lot. So I started back to work on education. I did VR app to learn chemistry. And ChatGPT, was released at this time. So I realized that there was a teacher in the VR app. And of course, putting LLM behind the teacher was an obvious thing to do. Actually, I was already using LLM to help me to generate the chemistry content, the chemistry courses. And 1 year ago, with Nicolas Stigman, my co-founder at Stupeflix, and Maxime and Vincent, we created Random Walk, so a tech company, and we are trying to make an app to help children to answer all the questions they have. You know, when there are something like 6, 7, there are lots of questions, and so we are doing a kind of educational ChatGPT for children, and yeah, we are working hard on that.
And the first version is live. So I'll put the link on the video. So if people want to try the Mimir, that's the name, right?
Mimi, yeah, that's it.
Mimir.
That's it.
I'll put a link to Mimir so people can try your next adventure.
Thank you.
I know, you're welcome. I have one last question, which is if you had an advice to give yourself like 15 years ago or when you started, what would it be?
It would be not to stress, and just to do some hard work, and it will happen.
Yeah,
If you are dedicated to what you are doing, and you are passionate about what you are doing, you are actually already in the top 1% of the people working on what you are doing. And so you should not waste some energy wondering if will it work and that kind of thing. Just do things from time to time. Take a step back to see am I going in the right direction? Is there something more, maybe more smarter to do? But yeah, just starting is the most important step, and just take a step at a time, and it will be okay.
Cool. That's cool. That's a nice advice. I take it also personally. Well, thank you for your time. It's super nice talking with you. I try to release any episode, like an episode per week. And I did a previous episode with another creator that I like, which name is Dagobert Renouf. And then based on the discussion we had together, it was a very laid back discussion like we just had. And he suggested me, you should not cut any part of it. So I've taken the decision of just pushing the conversation we had raw like that, no edits. And I'm trying to do it on a weekly basis. For now, I'm quite good at it. I mean, finding a guest. And I'll plan to continue as long as I can. So this is, I think, the third episode, the third interview story. And if you like the content, I'm talking to the audience, like comment, subscribe, and come every week on the YouTube channel. And François, thank you again for your time. It was super nice talking with you. And then I hope.
Thank you for your invitation. It was a pleasure to talk with you too, Arnaud.
Thank you, and I hope you're gonna have a good week. And then
See you soon.
see you soon.